Hello everybody, I'm back. Yeah, the last few days, as some of you know, have not been good. To say the least, they have not been good. For those of you that have seen my last video, I feel slightly sorry for you because it was not pretty. I watched it back myself this morning and it is not pretty. I am not looking good at all. But I am back, I am feeling better, and I want to say a big thank you, sincerely, to all of the people who left comment on that last horrific video with your good wishes and encouragement. So thank you to everybody that did that. That means a lot to me. So thank you very much. My tinnitus is still not back down to where I'd like it to be, a level 1, maybe a 2. I would say now it's at about a 2+, so I'm not quite back to where I want to be, but I'm perfectly able to function again and make this video, etc. Because when I was bad, when it was at its worst, the last couple of days, I couldn't do anything. It was awful. And I know a lot of you will know what that's like. It's so bad, the noise fills your head. It's just the worst thing. And this leads me on to where I'm going to go with some of this video, this topic that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about hair cells again at some point in this video. But first of all, how did I get my tinnitus down? Well, I went to see my GP, and he did describe me this particular medication, gabapentin, which I did speak about, or try to speak about, in my last video. I wasn't in a good place, so I doubt it came across very well. But he did prescribe me this gabapentin medication, and it did help, without doubt. It did help me. It did take the edge off of the tinnitus. It was still bad, but it was helping. It did bring it down and took the edge off. Again, how did I get it to come back down further? I did practice my Tai Chi, and I did some of my meditations, etc. And it did help, but it wasn't down to where I want to be still. So I had another session of cranial sacral therapy with my local therapist, Rob Williamson. I had another session, and he really went to town on me this time, because he could see obviously that I wasn't myself. I was feeling better, but he could tell that I wasn't myself. He could see that I hadn't noticed, but he could see that my whole body was still shaking, and he could tell that, you know, something had been going on with me. He could just see it, which means, you know, he's a good therapist. He can see these things, and he really went to town on me with the therapy, all around the back of the head, as he always does, the jaw, points on the spine, but this time he made more, he did more therapy inside my mouth, pushing inside my mouth, and he said to me, let me know if it becomes uncomfortable, because I'm going to be applying quite a lot of pressure here. So I was bracing myself, and he did this therapy inside my mouth, pushing on the muscles, etc., and nerve points inside my mouth, and my jaw felt like it had loosened right up, and this was a lovely feeling. He did a session on me for a good, probably over an hour, and by the end of it I was just feeling great. I had these feelings of bubbles, like I've said before, through my legs. And he's asking me, how does that feel? What is that like? And I said, I can only describe it as a loosening up of all my body, a loosening up, a release of any stress that I was still carrying around with me because of the last few days. And although I'd been feeling better by the time I got to Rob, I obviously wasn't really relaxed, and he could tell that. And by the time he'd finished, I was truly relaxed again, what I call truly relaxed, in a relaxed state. I don't seem to be able to get there by myself as fast as I'd like to with my own methods. I do get there, but it takes me a bit longer. But with the cranial therapy, it happened within that hour that I was there with Rob, my therapist. So that was fantastic, and that's how I've managed to get the tinnitus back down to a comfortable level. Like I say, not right where I want to be, but I'm definitely a lot more comfortable. I can function again, and I'm going to continue with my own methods now, which I've spoken about after this cranial session, to further the relaxation and calming of the nerves. So that's what I'm going to do. Going back to the doctor, while I was in there and he was discussing with me my medication, etc., that he was going to put me on, he said to me, "You do realise there is no cure for this? Why are you telling me this? Do you not think I've already heard this from many doctors? You're not the first doctor that I've been to see. I've been to see about 20 people. Why are you telling me there's no cure? You know, this is not helpful," and they're still doing it. And you know, that's not helpful to me, because of course that gets my back up. You know, I go in there and he's telling me there's no cure. You know, I've already heard this. Why are you repeating this to me? You know, that's going to get my back up. That's going to make me worse. I cannot understand why doctors, GPs, and most of the medical fraternity are still telling people this. It is not helpful. And he even elaborated on it. He said, there's no cure for this, Adrian. You do realise that? And I said, well, yes, I know there's no medical cure. But there are methods that I'm using myself. And as I started to say, I practice Tai Chi, and I do these type of meditations, and I have cranial sacral therapy. I could tell that he was dismissive of all of that. He was dismissive of it. It was as though he was saying, he didn't actually speak the words, but I could tell. He was like, he wasn't really listening, and when he did listen, he was totally dismissive of it. You could tell that he was thinking, this is just, you know, voodoo, this is like witch doctor stuff. You know, this is hocus pocus, Zen, you know, rubbish, you know. And I think this is part of the problem with the medical fraternity. You know, as I've said before, I am not easy to prove anything to, you know. You know, things like, there's things that I don't believe in, but I've experienced them myself, and they didn't work for me. They may work for other people, but things like Reiki, I don't believe in it at all, because I've experienced it and it did nothing. And homeopathy, I don't believe in that either. But when you've got a patient who comes in and tries to tell you that these methods do work for them, because the meditations, Tai Chi, which, you know, I was advised about that by Julian, and cranial sacral therapy, again through Julian, they do definitely have an effect, you know, without question. So I think the medical fraternity really need to listen more about what tinnitus sufferers are saying works for them, because they may be able to make a connection. You know, when I've been saying about this emotional connection with your tinnitus, it's undoubtedly the case, without question. I only have to look back on, you know, what sparked this awful spike off in the first place. I went to London and I was feeling fine, and I heard this bad news, and I did get angry, and that's a fault of my own. That's something that I have to attend to and address. You know, I have stopped getting angry so quickly, but this was something I just couldn't stop it. I was, you know, sometimes you can't always control everything all the time. It's just not possible. And that it was, without question, the trigger that started my tinnitus off at level 4 or 5, and within a few days it was like up to 7, 8. It was absolutely diabolical, and that's because I had an emotional response to something. Now, I could tell when I was trying to explain this to the doctor about this emotional connection, he was dismissive of it. 1 second. Hello? Hi, man. Okay, can I call you back, because I'm right in the middle of making one of my videos. You're on camera right now. Do you want to say hello? No. Okay. All right then. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. Sorry about that. It's my partner calling me from work. Yeah, and he was, you know, dismissive of pretty much everything I was saying, and I don't think this is, helpful. So I'm just saying, I think the medical fraternity need to listen to what tinnitus sufferers are telling them helps them work, because they may be able to make a connection with something. You know, back to what today's topic is. I'm going to talk about. While I was off work, I'm still off work. My partner, just calling me from work there. My partner works at the same place as me, and some of the guys at work have been asking, how's Aid? Some of them watch my videos, they're on my mailing list, and they're on my, they've subscribed to me, so some of them know about this last video that I made. But some of, you know, not everybody at work is you know, connected to watching my videos, etc. So there's a lot of people there that you know, really don't know what's going on with me. And one of them asked, how's Aid, what's wrong with him, etc. And Amanda, my partner, was trying to explain to him. And this subject of hair cell damage came up again. And also one of my friends who's got very bad hearing loss, and he wears a unit, like a hearing aid unit type thing on his ear to counterbalance the tinnitus that he hears, and he's been wearing that for a long time. And he's also asked me about this question, this topic of hair cells, and it's the same as what this person at work has asked. And what they asked was, and I've touched on this before in a previous video, this thing about if you've got tinnitus through hair cell damage, you've lost some of your hearing or all of your hearing, and the hair cells have been damaged or destroyed completely. Why would Aid doing his meditations and Tai Chi and things like that, and this cranial therapy of touching of the nerve points on the outside of the body, how would that help? How would that help? It doesn't make sense. You know, I don't think that's right. That can't be right. What you need is to talk to a neurologist and this kind of thing. This is the usual rhetoric that you know, this carries with it. And my friend, I've known for a long time, when I was telling him about this emotional response thing, he didn't really like the idea of that, because he'd been wearing this earpiece, and all the advice he'd been given, again by the medical fraternity, was there's no cure, you'll have to live with it, here's something to stick on your head and wear for the rest of your life. Play these sounds or this music in your ear for the rest of your life. There's nothing more that can be done. And I was trying to explain to him that there are other things that can help, because tinnitus is connected to your emotional response. And I think he didn't like that. He was trying to, we didn't argue, but he was trying to say to me, you know, that can't be right, Aid, because it's a physical thing to the ear. I've lost my hair cells. How can meditation help me? And I was trying to explain to him that if you have got, or been struck with, is a better term I think, if you have been struck with tinnitus due to loud noise exposure, or you know, any physical trauma to the ear which has caused your hair cells to become damaged or dead, if that is the way you have got tinnitus, the treatment is still going to be the same from somebody who's been struck with tinnitus through high levels of stress and anger, such as myself. Because although your hair cells have been damaged, you will find that people who have been struck with tinnitus because of hair cell damage, their tinnitus still fluctuates up and down. They have spikes as well. My friend does sometimes have a spike, you know, but it comes back down. You know, now your hair cells, and Julian's touched on this, your hair cells, once they're dead, they're dead. That's it, they're gone, dead. They do not grow back. So if your tinnitus is fluctuating greatly, like it did with me and my friend, if your hair cells are dead, they don't grow back. So when it fluctuates up and down, Your hair cells aren't growing back and then dying again. They're not growing back and dying again. They're dead. So this idea that it is purely down to hair cell damage, and it's not connected to your emotional state because it's a physical thing, I don't think is correct. And I was talking to my friend about this, and the more I spoke about it, I said to him, when you have a bad day emotionally, do you find your tinnitus gets worse? And he said, well, I don't really notice because I have this earpiece on my head, nearly all the time. So I said to him, well, that's why when you take this earpiece away, your tinnitus is as bad as it was when the day you got it, because you haven't allowed your brain to hear the noise and realise that it needs to reprioritise the tinnitus that you're hearing. The brain hasn't had a chance to realise, I don't need to listen to this noise anymore. My person that is attached to me isn't stressed, they're quite calm, so I can put that to the back of, in the background until they do something that I don't like, and I'll remind them again to stop it, like it does with me. So yeah, the hair cells topic, it is going to be the same treatment, I believe, because it is the brain that is creating this noise. That's what it is. It's listening to your nervous system. That's what I believe it to be. So I know it's hard for people to hear, and I've heard from work that they're not understanding, and I can understand why they're not understanding, because it does sound peculiar. But yeah, the hair cells, doesn't matter if you've got your tinnitus through hair cell damage, or through loud noise, or you've got it through high levels of stress. It's the brain you're going to have to treat. It is the brain. And the last few days have proved that to me yet again, even more so. And this is just what I wanted to say, because I've had a couple of people ask me about it, and I just wanted to reinforce this idea that you can, because I've done it, you can get your tinnitus to calm down through calming your nervous system. Doctors need to start listening to what we tinnitus sufferers tell them works for us, and not be so dismissive and think it can only be a particular medical approach. They need to listen to what we're telling them and not be dismissive, and stop telling us there is no cure, because they just don't know what they mean when they say that. What they mean when they say that is, we don't know what we're dealing with, we don't know how to help you, therefore instead of saying we don't know, we're going to tell you there is no cure, there's nothing you can do, and that needs to stop. I'm probably going to send my doctor actually some of my videos for him to watch, and say, look, have a look at these, check out the tinnitus community, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Having said that, the drugs he did give me have helped. I am already starting to cut down the dosage. I'm still continuing to take it for now, but I am going to cut down the dosage and just rely on my methods that were working perfectly well for me until I let myself down and get angry and upset. But sometimes, as I say, as we all know, you can't control everything all of the time in life. Life will just continue to throw crap at you, and sometimes it catches you off guard, and you can't be in control of everything all the time. So I think that's all I wanted to say today. Again, thank you everyone who sent me their words of encouragement and best wishes when I was in a very bad way. I really do appreciate it, so thank you very, very much. Right, so that's it. I will try and do the meditation video at some point. I don't know when. I'm back to work tomorrow, I think. So I will be making another meditation video, you know, a straightforward meditation video, as a couple of people, Nelia Epku. It will be coming probably sometime next week or the week after, but I will do one. I hope it will help. Best wishes to everybody. Continue to find methods that work for you, and I will see you again soon in the next video. Thanks very much.